Boredom isn't a problem to be fixed. It's God's protocol. If you ever want to hear the still small voice, you must first sit still enough to hear it. In this episode, we reclaim the fact that boredom is true freedom, not failure, on Soul 02. And welcome to Soul 02. I'm Perez, guiding you to think deeply, live wisely, and lead in your life through the character of Christ. So glad to be with you today. Today we're talking about boredom and why it's really a Western idea that boredom is a bad thing. And in our frantic age, we treat boredom like a failure. But what if boredom is one of the most profound gifts God ever gave you? Here's a story, a true story. A few years ago, researchers invited people into a plain room, just a chair, no distractions. They said, you may sit alone for 15 minutes. On the table, a big red button. If you press it, you receive a mild electric shock. So nobody wants to press the button. Yet many press the button, even repeatedly, rather than simply sit. One man pressed it 190 times within those 15 minutes. Why? Because the stillness, the nothing to do, the blank screen of boredom threatens something deeper inside. And this is what the research showed. So today we ask the question, what if the enemy of our soul isn't boredom, but our fear of it? Let's break it down. Science and psychology, think about this. Science and psychology tell us what Christians might have known intuitively. And that is this: boredom is not merely wasted time. It's a signal. The brain's default mode network, which activates when we are unoccupied. When our mind wanders, according to Arthur C. Brooks at Harvard Business School, we avoid boredom at our peril. The brain's default mode network activates when we are unoccupied, when our mind wanders. According to Arthur C. Brooks at Harvard Business School, we avoid boredom at our peril because these quiet moments invite the big questions. Who am I? What is my purpose? Where is God? And we never sit with discomfort in a low stimulus moment. And when that doesn't happen, our hearts become restless and we starve for meaning because we tend to fill those moments with busyness and technology and whatever distracts us and whatever we escape into. So the article puts it this way: boredom may be the brain's way of telling us something is missing. We live in an attention economy. We jump, we swipe, we scroll, even when we're alone. A recent broader review pointed to how our constant digital fill-up of all the devices we have may be contributing to anxiety and depression because the mind never gets to reflect. And that is so deep when you think about it. We need to reflect. So yes, researchers show boredom isn't shallow, it's deep. But what about the soul, our soul? Let's look at boredom through the eyes of faith, or through the lens of faith today. In Scripture, we see the value of stillness. Elijah heard the voice of God, not in the wind or the earthquake or the fire, but in a gentle whisper. The wilderness, that solitary place, the waiting time, they are sacred. They're not bad, they're sacred. And so when we fear boredom, what we often fear is waiting, not doing, being alone with God and facing Him and ourselves. Yet it is in the wilderness where we are pruned and refined and become ready for the vineyard. The same imagery you and I use every day as Christians, right, when we read the Bible. Without God as our lens, however, our rest becomes fruitless and our hurried service becomes hollow. Here's a contrast. Distractions brings busyness, but superficial fruit. That's what it yields. On the other hand, stillness brings discomfort, but it also brings deep formation. A Christian who cannot sit with boredom may never sit with God. And we may fill our calendar, but we will have empty souls. And that's why it's important to sit down and stop. When we embrace the pause, we're stepping into covenant rhythm with God, a rhythm of creation day, of how we were made, that we were made to take a Shabbat, a personal Shabbat, one day a week. And we know that in the New Testament, the Sabbath is not explicitly commanded, but it is definitely prescriptive. Just work 7 days straight, and I think you'll know what I'm talking about. You need 1 day of just rest and just renewal and just stopping and just doing what you enjoy and just renewing your strength. And the truth is this, that boredom doesn't mean God is absent. In fact, boredom may mean God is waiting, and he wants us to wait with him. He wants us to entertain with him, to reveal himself to us. So the question is, will we press the button? Will we avoid the silence? Or will we learn to sit and listen until we receive something in that silence? How do we let boredom work for us? Here's maybe 3 things you can do right now. Make time to be bored. I know this sounds strange, but it's important to stop everything. Turn everything off, turn off your phone, everything off, and just be bored. And just sit in God's presence, and you'll be blown away as to what happens. So turn off that phone, no playlist, no podcast, sit in silence, let your mind wander, and let discomfort occur. It's okay to be comfortable, that's normal. And start with 15 minutes, and you'll see what happens, what emerges from that. Number 2, create sanctuaries of stillness. In other words, in your home, maybe there should be at least one room where technology is not allowed, where busy work is not allowed, and places where no phone in the bedroom, let's say, or devices at the dinner table. What are you doing there? You're setting boundaries around your silence, around your boredom, and you're actually nurturing boredom in a good way. This isn't legalism, this isn't weirdness. You're putting a hedge around your heart to protect it from the constant preoccupation that keeps you from reflection. Number 3, discern the boredom. When you feel restless, ask yourself the question, what is this? What is this moment trying to tell me about me? What hole in my soul is this pointing to? And maybe use a journal, and in prayer contemplation, just meditate on the scriptures. Let boredom become a portal to illumination, to God's presence, to hearing from him. As a pastor, I invite you to see that Sabbath or Shabbat isn't just rest. It's receptive stillness, knowing that God is eternal and you're not. And in that eternal moment, you're receiving something from him. That wilderness isn't just a trial, but it's a training ground. That idle chair that maybe you feel you're squirming in it, right? It's not a time of waste that is wasted, but a time of waiting. Look at it that way. And don't chase busyness, chase his presence. Don't flee boredom. Learn to use it. Don't fill the silence with busyness and with distractions. Let the silence fill you so that God can visit you. So as we move towards the end of this episode, hear this. The cross cleared our vision so we could see what matters. Boredom strips the noise so we could hear his voice. The dead moments teach us how to live by faith. So key takeaways: boredom is not a defect, it's a design. In the quiet, our souls find their voice and they hear the voice of God. Freedom to be bored is freedom to be found by God. That's the key. You have to be still enough. If you practice stillness this week, you will not only resist distraction, but you'll welcome revelation. You'll welcome God's voice in your heart. If this episode spoke to you, please like and comment your thoughts and share it with someone who's always feeling every moment. Until then, turn the phone off, sit in the chair, let Jesus clear your vision, and let the silence speak. I'm Perez, and I'll see you next time. God bless you.